I think if you watch enough carnivores and you see people, the ages they're at, the things they've been through, how wonderful they look, you kind of want what they're having. And what they're having is fatty red meat. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So that was my second autoimmune disease. And at the very same time, I got a kidney stone. And they say it's a calcium oxalate stone. You have to stay away from these vegetables. Stay away from spinach. And Dr. Kiltz, I had been eating so much spinach. You're taught since you're able to talk and walk that you have to eat vegetables. It's indoctrinated into your brain. I was just at the lowest part of my life and I said, God, heal me. And I started hearing about the carnivore diet. And I said, really? I don't think this is the answer. This is so silly. Eat meat? Carnivore is crazy. It was just in my head. This is nuts. But you got to see it because these people, they're looking pretty good and they're feeling pretty good.
How long did it take for you to really see and feel and know the difference?
3 weeks. That's why I say do the thing for 30 days and see how your body reacts. I believe that plants are starvation food. We are meant to eat meat. And once you've been eating these poisons, this plant poisoning, long enough, your body just doesn't want to do it anymore.
Miss Diane Ladd, Boston Carnivore, is with us today, and she's sharing her amazing story how someone with MS can do carnivore and heal and eliminate the diseases we were told are based on your DNA, but they're not. They're based on our environment. Diane, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulously. And I want to thank you for having me on your show. It's such an honor to be here.
The honor is all mine, and together we're sharing. And maybe you could start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what it was like when you were first diagnosed with this thing called MS.
I know, right? So I am a mother, a wife, a mental health therapist. I am an adult learner, went back to BC at the age of 45 and got my master's degree in social work, started my own business counseling folks. I was on a roll. I was doing great things. And the last semester of my education, I started feeling a little off. I would go to speak and my lips would feel kind of like frostbitten, like just at the beginning of a sentence, I would feel like this isn't coming out right. And I started to get the sideways looks and went up to the professors and said, listen, I'm not drinking. I have no idea what's going on here. Because it sounded like slurring. So this went on until I got to the doctor after graduation. And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't see it. Come back in 8 months. And in 8 months, he had moved. So I had a different doctor. And the doctor wanted to test me for MS, which I was kind of floored. Wow. And so the testing itself, Dr. Kiltz, as you know, is not easy. It's nerve conduction tests and MRIs and spinal taps and all this stuff that can be pretty painful. And by the end of it, it was an eye doctor that finally said to me, yes, I can see that you have this condition that is prevalent in multiple sclerosis, and that's what you have. And it was February of 2016. So this had been going on since 2014 because especially in this country, it does not happen fast. It's a process, just getting a diagnosis. So in some ways, it was a relief. Okay, so now they know what's wrong with me. But then you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, yeah, you have MS, and there's not much you can do. There's no cure. And we can give you these very strong medications, but there's only a 40% chance with the strong medications that this thing won't progress, which really aren't good odds at all. So that's what I was left with. And um, yeah,
And I'm going to assume that growing up, you had no significant diseases or problems that would give you an inkling of something's going to happen in your 40s.
no, no, nothing at all. I mean, I had a little eczema, and I have read a few studies that say eczema is not an autoimmune disease. It's kind of like a pseudo autoimmune disease,
Hmm.
and it can indicate that things can happen later on. But that's really the only thing I had. Pretty healthy growing up. Always, always, always exercising. As a kid, I was always outdoors, swimming in the summertime, having a good time. And in my teens and early 20s, became an aerobic instructor, personal trainer, all of that, and I did not eat the standard American diet. So I ate the standard American dieter's diet, which is low fat, very minimal calories, if you want to say calories, fuel, always on a diet, off a diet, on a diet, off a diet. But I never did like the standard American diet that you see today.
Would you say that you are living a health conscious life between exercise and healthy diet? And ultimately, the answer is why you develop uh, muscular sclerosis, MS, is a mystery?
That's what I say, Dr. Kiltz. MS was never in my mind. I always lived a healthy life, never smoked, never I can't think of one thing that I did. I was always conscious of, household products that I used and cosmetics that I used. Never really got into chemicals and things like that. The only thing I did, now that I say the word chemicals, I used to be a hairdresser, and I dealt with a lot of perm solutions, colors. Yeah, that could be the only thing, but asked my doctor said no. So,
Hmm, hmm. And tell me a little bit how the symptoms you were suffering from, exactly what type of things you were suffering from, and how did they affect your life?
well, they really affected my life because I was going to say they didn't, but they did. So the first thing was a speech issue, like I said. Then, as time progressed, I started getting like this dizziness that felt kind of like I was in an airplane when I was in a car. I felt like the up and down motion as well as the spinning motion. And for a little while, I didn't drive because I was a little bit nervous about that. Fatigue, brain fog, very, 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 very much so. And that started off slow and like slowly progressed to the fact that like you didn't realize that it progressed. Like, ugh, I'm just feeling a little exhausted, a little tired. And then it got heavier and heavier. And the brain fog combined with the speech issues, with the dizziness, and like everything combined with each other to make it more intense. I had some double vision. Today, I wear prism glasses because the double vision was really intense at one point, and it was worse when I was tired. So
Hmm.
it wasn't too bad in the morning, and then as the day progressed, it got worse and worse and worse. So there's also this condition called Uhthoff syndrome, which is an extreme heat exhaustion, a heat sensitivity that hits you. And a lot of people with MS wear cooling vests, cooling towels, wrist cooling things. Even when you sleep, like a sheet that you put under your sheet that cools you from the bottom up. So I had a lot of trouble. Like my son was in baseball, just to go to a baseball game. I mean, I was just, hat, and I had like a cooling thing under my hat and in the shade. It was just, it was horrible in the summertime. And yeah, urinary incontinence. a lot of trouble with that as time went on. I was actually had Botox in my bladder, and they were thinking about putting an implant on my back with like a thing to help the nerve, so that I would find some relief with that. I was just like right before the carnivore diet, they were thinking of that. So the medications that I took also gave me side effects. First of all, it knocks your B cells right off the, you don't have any, and that's so that your immune system does not attack your brain. So with that, there was a lot of concern about catching viruses. There was a lot of concern. Pneumonia is a concern, and also I had frequent UTIs because of that. So so there was a lot that affected my life. Just when you think of managing one thing, then another thing comes in, and then you've got to manage that thing, and so it was very difficult to say the least.
How did it affect your home life, your outside life, and work and those sort of things?
Well, in 2022, August of 22, it really affected my work. The brain fog and, the well, the speech issues a little bit, but it was more the brain fog and the fatigue that I couldn't deal with anymore. Just because the intensity of being a therapist and being a listener and being able to stay with the person and listen to them and being able to talk to them, I got to the point where I was never, um, I was never, I was never with that person and not able to connect with them. So I was getting to the point where I thought that I might be not able to connect to them if this thing got any worse. So I, one day I said, and also after work for the home life. So talking to 8 people a day for 1 hour about their most intense problems and focusing on them. At the end of the day, Dr. Kiltz, I couldn't have another conversation. I was done, and I felt bad for my husband. He'd be like, how is he? And I'm like, I really don't feel like talking now. So, so I wasn't able to give much in my relationship, and also my friendship relationships and my children. It was, for a while, it was all work until it was not work. And I took a sabbatical, which, as you probably know from being in the medical field, it's a difficult thing because now I have clients who depend on me on a weekly basis. So now I have to reach out to my colleagues and say, could you take 1 or 2 clients? Can you take this person? And they wanted to know, okay, what do they need? Am I the right person for them? So this process of getting 30 people cared for out in the community by other therapists was huge when I wasn't feeling well at all. And then I had an office, and I had to sublet the office. And then finally I had to get someone else to rent it full time. So that was a process when I wasn't feeling well at all.
Depression. Tell us a little bit about your psyche and all of this.
Well, when someone tells you you have a disease, you have an autoimmune disease that is pretty bad now, but it's probably going to get worse. The way the doctor described it to me is she said, because it's your brain and your spinal cord, you may become deaf, you may become blind, your speech may get worse, you may not be ambulatory anymore, you may need a walker, you may need a cane, you may need a wheelchair. So we don't know. We are doing our best. We know these medications can help. It's almost like they might help, but there's no guarantee. And typically these diseases progress, So for so many nights, like falling asleep at night, I got this flash of in front of my house having a ramp leading up to my doorway. And everyone who went by my house would know that that ramp is for me because I'm in a wheelchair. So knowing that I'd probably need to walk with a cane. And soon after that 2022, August of 22, when I decided to stay home and work on myself and try to get myself so that I'm feeling better, soon after that, I started thinking, wow, it is a possibility that I'm going to be needing a cane soon. So I was actually looking online for like a cute cane, something that would be a little stylish, never bought it, but it was in my purview. It was something that was in my mind that it would have to happen eventually.
So set us up here a little bit. You're in your 40s. You begin noticing some tingling, numbness, and other functions, brain fog, some work issues, home issues, and potentially mobility issues. What type of time frame was this happening in? And you're on medications by now.
Yeah.
What type of medications were you on? And then when did you start seeing a little bit of there might be another way?
Wow. Okay. So I'm feeling not so good. I'm home, fall of 2022, feeling a little worse all the time. It wasn't until late fall of 2023 that I started. No, that's a lie. Because, oh my gosh, I wrote a little bit of things down. So March of 2023, so that was the following spring, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So that was my second autoimmune disease. My
Okay.
ankles were so swollen, Dr. Kiltz, it was unbelievable. I couldn't even stand to brush my teeth.
Wow.
I had to sit to brush my teeth. That's
Yeah.
how, it was really, really bad. And at the very same time, I got a kidney stone and I had to be hospitalized and get a stent put in. And soon after that, I started looking at Sally K. Norton, and her book had just come out. And I was like, oxalates, because they said to me when they tested the stone after it comes out, and they say it's a calcium oxalate stone. You have to stay away from these vegetables. Not all vegetables. You can have a lot of them, just the low oxalate ones. Stay away from spinach. And Dr. Kiltz, I had been eating so much spinach. I
Yes.
was having the smoothies, you have the big smoothie jar, and I was stuffing the spinach in, and I was putting all kinds of other stuff in there. And I was having these green smoothies, and I was having sweet potatoes. I was having every high oxalate thing, almond milk and almonds, high oxalates. I was like, oh my goodness, no wonder why I got a kidney stone. Then I started noticing, is it RA or is it pseudo gout from the oxalates? They
Hmm.
could never really test it, but I did go on a medication for RA, and it did, thank God, the pain went away on the medication. So when I was reading Sally Norton's book,
Sally K.
K. Norton,
Norton.com. And we had Sally on this morning, and
yeah.
she's a
Oh, this
superstar.
morning?
This morning you and I, we love Sally K.
Oh
Norton.
my gosh.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. And there was a little bit of like echoing in her book about carnivore diet. It wasn't like a carnivore book,
Right,
right?
right, right.
Not like this book.
Ah.
It wasn't a carnivore book, but she did mention carnivore because there was a time where she just went off all veggies because of oxalates. So I started looking at these chemicals that are in plant foods, and I questioned it, and I said, well, it's something to be aware of. Gave up the spinach, everything that was high on the list out, but still had, because Dr. Kiltz, you're taught since you're able to talk and walk and use a spoon and a fork that you have to eat vegetables. You're taught this. It's indoctrinated into your brain and your psyche. So to all of a sudden not eat them,
Right.
that
Crazy.
doesn't happen like right away.
Mm-hmm.
not until you study this for a while. So this was what I say, the 2023 spring. So now 2024, I wasn't feeling much better. And you know what? That hospital stay weakened me tremendously. When I left the hospital, I could not walk up my front steps. My husband had to help me and like really support me to get me up the steps, because not only was I weak from the ankles and the rheumatoid arthritis, but I had just been in a bed for 4 days, hospitalized. I lost, on top of that, the steroids they gave me for my ankles put a deep ulcer in my esophagus. So I didn't eat for well over a month, just tiny little bits because it was so painful. And I lost 20 pounds, which was 20 pounds of muscle because I was in bed as well.
Wow. Wow.
So I was in tough shape. And then it was more, that whole summer was almost like a rehab from that whole incident. And, at the gym, just able to walk on a treadmill for 15 minutes. That was it. And then just going home and sleeping for the rest of the day, or just relaxing for the rest of the day because I couldn't do another thing. So like one thing at a time, and like building up to like, okay, I'll go grocery shopping with you. And then maybe doing half of it and then sitting out for the next half. And just little by little, just getting my strength back was pretty tough. But the thing is like, once I started eating, so I lost like 20 pounds of muscle. I didn't gain back the muscle. I gained back 20 pounds of fat. So now
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
more weak. And that's where I was fall of 2023 when I just cried out to God. I don't know what gave me the courage to do that because I hadn't done that as of yet. But I think God was bringing me to him. And, I was just at the lowest part of my life. And I said, God, heal me, heal this MS. And I started hearing about the carnivore diet. And I said, really? I don't think this is the answer. This is so silly. Eat meat? So it was around the 1st of January, I started hearing about it. And this is why I came up with my 5 stages of, the carnivore mindset, because I went through them.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your infusion into carnivore and your 5 steps? And we're going to also touch on God and faith in this
Yeah.
process. Really think
Yeah.
that's important, and I'm glad you mentioned that.
Right. So I heard about carnivore because, I couldn't do much except watch television. That's really, and go to the gym for 15 minutes a day and then watch television. And I had watched all of Netflix. I had watched all of Prime. I had watched every movie on Apple that I could, that was there. And I was like, let's see what's on YouTube. So I turned YouTube on and I plugged in something like diet for multiple sclerosis, or cure for multiple, something to that effect. I don't remember exactly what it was, and I believe it was Dr. Berry that showed up. So I'm listening to him and I'm like, really, this is insane. Carnivore is crazy. And then I heard Dr. Chafee, and carnivore is crazy. That it was just in my head. This is nuts. Then I'd mention it to a friend, and my friend was like, "That's crazy." So how could you just eat meat? I'm like, I know, but you got to see it because these people are they're looking pretty good and they're feeling pretty good. I always think of the movie when Harry Met Sally. And she's in the diner and she's carrying on, like screaming, and the woman turns and goes, I want what she's having. I always think of that for the carnivore diet, because I think if you watch enough carnivores and you see people and the ages they're at and the things they've been through and how wonderful they look, you kind of want what they're having. And what they're having is fatty red meat. I can get
Simple.
that. I can get that. So the first step to carnivore mindset is carnivore is crazy. And it's really not a step to carnivore mindset because you're really out of it. And some people stay in it forever. Some people stay in it for a week. Some people stay in it for a month. I stayed in it for 3 months until the more I watched and the more like studies I read and books I read and people I listened to, it started making sense. And it was interesting how it happened because, being a dieter, I always started a diet on a Monday. This time, I woke up one Tuesday morning on March 5th, 2024, and I said, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. So I kind of switched the stages because I really believe that if you really want to do this thing, so the spinning circle is stage 2. That's when you're saying, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Mm-hmm.
Stage 3 is prepare, carnivore prep. To prepare your pantry, to prepare your menu, prepare your life, because it is a lifestyle. If I'm going over a friend's house for dinner, I've got to know what she's serving. I need to bring what I can eat, either that or I don't eat, because I follow this thing 100%. And I think that people should be following it 100%. So that's the prep. So the prep goes on forever. The prep is
Always.
the food shopping, right? The making sure what you have in the house, what you can eat. Make sure you're planning what you're eating. So the 4th step is the challenge. Try the thing for 30 days and see what happens. Just see what happens. It's not going to kill you, right? Because I think everyone's so worried. Oh, what about my LDL? What about gout? What about scurvy? Really? Have you ever heard anyone getting scurvy from this, Dr. Kiltz?
I've never seen scurvy.
Scurvy.
I question its existence personally, but that's a whole other story.
So just do it for 30 days.
Yeah.
And you know what? Do it exactly. You might not have to do it exactly. Some people do it kind of, but for that first 30 days, do it exactly so you see if the damn thing works. That's what I say anyway. And after 6 months, it becomes your way of eating. And that's the 5 step. It's your way of eating. It's just your way of being. You go from following the carnivore diet to calling yourself a carnivore.
And isn't in fact, we're born carnivores, but
are.
we've been domesticated and fed plants, which make us dogs and cats instead of lions and wolves. And so really you're feeling sick. You got a disease that's for life, according to the standard medical approach concepts. It's DNA driven, or we don't know why, but you're going to live for life and you've got this disease. And you mentioned Sally K. Norton,
Yes.
and oxalates, and there's a link between something here and the plants you're eating, and you came across the idea of carnivore, and suddenly your eyes begin to listen and be open to it. And I'm wondering if that, because I had came into it in a very similar way. I had arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, bowel bleeding, kidney stones, and I actually first learned about. I had Atkins already down, and then I learned about paleo, and then I came into keto.
Yeah.
And then as I'm watching the internet, some dude's doing carnivore. He's ripped. He doesn't exercise, and he only eats meat. And that's when I said that one's for me, because I'm not that good at being strict in life. And when I went carnivore after trying Atkins, paleo, keto, which made me better in stages. It didn't cure me like carnivore did.
No, because I was a keto. I had years ago I did Atkins, but I also did a low carb for a while, and then I did keto. I was doing keto on and off,
Yeah.
which you really shouldn't, but I did. Mostly on though, I have to say I was
Yeah.
mostly on it, and also other diets that are for MS, which are like a paleo type diet. I did that one. A little relief, a little. Like
Yeah.
it was like microscopic. It wasn't like this. This is like superhuman. And I say that to people and they kind of give me the side eye, but I'm like, no, you're not, I'm not kidding you because I feel better today than I felt when I was 30. 30 years old, you know, I didn't feel this good.
I turned 70 in March coming up, and I in my 70th year. Remember, I finished 70 years in March of next year, and I feel about 10. And I've never felt better in my life. And I was at a healthcare summit last couple of days, and they talked about how many people are going to need elder care, and we're just going to have to take care of all of them. And I spoke up and said, listen, our job is to actually help our elders get younger.
Yeah.
And we have to change the housing of people to the inspiration and how you can be younger and vibrant as we age chronologically, but physically, mentally, emotionally, we're getting younger and
Yeah.
younger every single day. And I'm wondering if you can share with us your doctor's experience in seeing this woman who's gone through crazy, maybe, prepare always, the 30-day challenge, and now suddenly freedom at last. I'm a lioness.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so true. So 3 weeks after I started the diet, exactly to the T, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, the brain fog lifted,
Mm.
right? The fatigue gone little by little, because even after 4 weeks, it was like gone more. Like the carnivore gifts keep on giving, because as you do this thing, you get better and better and better. So I saw her. So I started the diet March 5th. I saw her in May and didn't say anything in May, just because I had to figure out how to do this thing. And I did have an infusion in May. It's called Ocrevus, the medication, by the way, and it's done by infusion. You go in the hospital for just a day, few hours, and they put the medication in, and no real side effects except for the chronic UTIs. But anyway, so I didn't mention it to her until I really knew what was going on, and that was the beginning of December of last year. So I went for an appointment and I said, I'm going to do this thing. And I went in, and as she is testing my reflexes, she's doing a clinical exam, which you have to stand up and touch one nose at a time. You have
Mhm.
to walk heel to toe across the room. Um, a lot of balance things, like you stand up, she tries to push you over, and you have to keep your balance. And she's doing all this. And as she's doing this, I'm telling her, I said, Doc, I know that you're a fabulous doctor. You have kept me healthy, out of a wheelchair for 9 years, almost 9 years now. And I know your stuff. I know your medicine, and you know how to prescribe, because I was on 3 different medications, and she, kept me progressing through it. And, you know, I understand that you know what you know, but what you don't know is what I have been doing over the past 8 months. And I would love to tell you about it. And I would love you to listen to me. And she's like, yeah, sure. And I said, so I've been following this diet. It's a ketogenic metabolic diet, also called the Carnivore Diet, where I eat only meat. And What I found is after 3 weeks, I felt so much better. And then she kind of perks up because now, as I'm speaking to her, she's seeing the improvement in my reflexes, the improvement in my coordination, all these improvements. And I said, after 3 months, I had no heat sensitivity. I walked the neighborhood, 85-degree day, 2 miles without perspiring heavily, but without getting extreme fatigue. I have no dizziness. I have no fatigue. I just went through all of my symptoms of all the symptoms that went away. And by the time we got to heel to toe across the room, I could not do 3 steps without teetering and falling over.
Wow.
6 months prior, I walked heel to toe all the way across the room. Perfect balance. Aced it 100%. And I could see like the furrowing between her eyebrows. And then she sat on her computer and she just, I think she was looking at my past, what happened last time. And she took a breath and she asked me, "What would you like to do?" I was kind of taken aback because she never asked me that question before. It was always, all right, let's schedule your infusion. Let's schedule your appointment. Let's schedule the MRI, blah, 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 blah. And I responded, about what? She said, well, do you want to take your infusion? Because I really think you don't need to. Like, you could wait if you wanted to. And I said, could we wait 6 months and I can see you again and we can reassess it? She said, absolutely. I see no reason to schedule it today. And she mentioned that if I was presenting in this way, she probably wouldn't have just prescribed it to me. So, yeah, I mean, to get my doctor to agree that yes, there is improvement, like such tremendous improvement that I no longer need that poison going through my veins is, Dr. Kiltz, I left the office in like tears and I got into the the hospital hallway and I immediately called my husband and I said, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I told him, I don't need to get the Ocrevus. I don't need that. She's going to wait 6 months. She wanted to do an MRI, and I did do an MRI, and there was no new lesions on the MRI. The scars from the past lesions were still there, but I've heard that there are people with MS that the past scars have also disappeared. They don't bother me. I don't feel anything. Like if they stayed there, I'm fine with it. If I still carry the diagnosis of MS, I'm okay with it because I do not feel any symptoms. I say, just to cover the bases, that nearly 100% of my symptoms are gone.
Wow. Wow. Hey, if you're eating animal-based, you know how hard it is to find something real when you're on the go. That's why I like the Carnivore Bar. It's made with just meat, fat, salt, and sometimes a little honey. No seed oils, no sugar, no preservatives. It's shelf-stable, travel-ready, and packs 400 calories of real nourishment. Think of it like modern-day pemmican, a survival food, reimagined with high-quality, regeneratively raised beef. Whether you're flying, hiking, road tripping, or just busy between meals, this bar helps you stay fueled until your next steak. It's simple, it's real, and it actually supports how humans are meant to eat. Meet my food. And how long did it take for you to really see and feel and know the difference?
3 weeks. Wow. That's why I say do the thing for 30 days. Just do it for 30 days and see how your body reacts.
How do you explain your healing?
Divine intercession. God led me here, and I really believe that. I really believe that only God knew that this thing would cure, and shortly after that. So I'm going to get a little spiritual here. I hope you don't mind. Shortly after, yeah, I know you don't mind. Shortly after this 3-week period, I heard a sermon from a priest at my church, and he was talking about how at the wedding of Cana, Mary asked Jesus to um, make more wine for the groom's family, because it was a terrible thing when the groom was the one that held the wedding, and when the wine runs out, that is a big no-no. That's like socially horrible for the whole family. So she said to her son Jesus, please, can you make wine for this wedding? And he agreed. And then Mary went up to the maitre d' and she said, please do what my son tells you to do. So the priest gave the sermon and he said, this story in the Bible illustrates how we are to pray to Jesus. Mary is demonstrating how we are to pray to Jesus. We ask him for something, and there is always an ask by him, because Jesus went up to the maitre d' and he said, fill the jars with water. And I am sure the maitre d' said, that's crazy. I'm not going to fill the jar with water. Why would I serve this wedding party water? Yet, because Mary asked the maitre d' to listen to what her son said, the maitre d' filled the jars with water, and then Jesus turned this water into the most delicious wine these people have ever tasted. So, in my carnivore mind, I was like, oh, I prayed to Jesus to heal me. And there was an ask. He asked me, follow the carnivore diet. And I did. And lo and behold, 3 weeks later, fatigue's going away. So I don't want to say that the carnivore diet is ordained by God. Like I don't want to say that, but you do. I know you do.
Well, here's my theory on God.
Okay, I'd love to hear this.
God is in our mind. He is us. And Jesus gave us that power. He's really the first to go to the masses, the meek and weak, and explain the power that is within them and make the mind wine. Essentially, he gave us the power not only to ask, but to be grateful that which we ask for as if it is already ours.
Yeah.
Own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I love reading about Jesus Christ. But I read all of the Bibles. I think they all have value in our humanity. And God is within each and every one of us. And I think it is powerful what you share, because God is the only real power in all of this.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in God or not, if you look in the mirror and you believe and understand the power you have been given and that God is within us and we're the gods. Every thought we think creates the life we live. And that's what Jesus Christ taught us more than anything, I think, believe. And so I'm just wondering, are we putting a connection between meat is masterful for the lion and mush, which comes from plants, is really miserable and toxic and not healthy for humanity?
I believe that plants are starvation food. When people were starving, they had to eat something to fill their body up.
Yeah.
So when the herds weren't there, when they weren't able to hunt, I mean, gosh, I don't want to go back to that. That was, that living in a cave, not having my Tempur-Pedic bed. I mean, I I like my comfort,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to go back to that. And I know, and I believe that in ancestry, my ancestors went through a lot of famines. I have a very thrifty gene. The genes in me. I'm able to keep myself alive, and I could not eat for a long, long time, and this has always been, kind of maintain my weight. I've never been one that lost a lot of weight. I think I have that thrifty gene in me. Um, but I think that I know that we are meant to eat meat. And I think that some people can get away with eating a little bit of plants if they can get away with it. And you know what? They might be able to get away with it in their youth. That's a possibility, right? But it's like once you've been eating these poisons, this plant
Long
poisoning
enough.
long
Mhm.
enough, your body just doesn't want to do it anymore. It just kind of breaks down. All the oxalates and the phytates and the lectins and the all these things that are just in plant foods, and even all these toxins, and they attack like the obesogens and the what is the thyroid, the goitrogen.
Goitrogens.
Yeah, I had a nodule for years and years and years that they just wanted to test once a year. It's good. It's good. It's not any bigger, but you have to come back and test it every single year. Why not tell me to stop eating my cauliflower? I mean, they've got to know that it's a goitrogen. Do they not know this?
They don't know. They
That's what
don't
they
know.
do. That's
It-
lazy.
Well,
That
it
that they look at
again.
goiters every single day, all day long, all day long.
Yes,
And
yes.
they don't know about goitrogens?
They don't. And just as I was talking to a gastroenterologist today, who told me I should use fiber, and I said okay. And another doc who's an immunologist, reproductive endocrinologist, and deals with a lot of reproductive immunology, has Crohn's, and I shared the secret, and the carnivore secret is the simple, most amazing thing. Do you focus on any particular meat? Do you eat mostly fatty meat? Do you eat organ meats? How many times a day do you eat? These are the questions everyone wants to know.
They all want to know it. They're all so very curious. Okay, so at first, I just ate meat when I was hungry. I stopped eating meat when I was full, and I ate meat again when I was hungry. So sometimes I ate 3 times a day, sometimes I ate 2 times a day. Depended. Like if my family was all eating, I would eat with them. So I think that that's very important. At the beginning of all this, it's a big transition. So to eat when you're hungry, and even if you overeat a little bit, you're probably still going to get a lot of benefit from it. So I did that. And then I started noticing that chicken didn't make me feel as good, and fish didn't make me feel as good.
Mhm.
Um, Ribeye made me feel really good.
Yeah.
So I found this company that sells meat at my local grocery store, Market Basket, and it's Cataldo meat, and it comes pre-wrapped, and I buy that. They're a good serving size for me because I eat about 10, 12 ounces at a time.
Mhm.
And so it's not like a 2-pound steak, because although I
Fatty?
could it's fatty. It's fatty.
Eh,
It could be fattier. So know what I did, Dr. Kiltz? I went to a local butcher, And I said, do you have any fat trimmings? He goes, well, what kind? I said, beef, of course. And he said, yeah. I said, could you wrap them up for me? And he said, absolutely. So this butcher he goes, how much do you want? I said, 3 pounds. So we put 3 pounds of fat in the butcher paper, wrapped it up, and they put 2 X's on it, which means it's free. He doesn't even charge me for it. And I go through the checkout and they go, oh, you're all set. Of course, I buy a couple ribeye steaks while I'm there because I have to buy them on there.
Yeah.
So, so what I do is take a couple pieces of fat. When I put it in my air fryer, I put, 2 for me and my husband, 2 steaks in the air fryer, and I put some little fat in there too. And we have that as to supplement because I don't think they're fatty enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Most beef is raised to be leaner, and the butcher cuts most of the fat off. And where I work with the rancher and the processor to leave the fat on, and simply cut the cuts by 2 to 2 inch thick ribeyes with the bone
I know.
on.
I've seen your bone-in ribeyes. They're amazing. So a little pro tip:
Please.
let them cut the fat off, and let them give it to you free because then it's cheaper. You're not paying $10.99 for the fat.
You got it. You got it. Absolutely. That's a better way to do it.
So I do that, and when I fast, sometimes I eat a little bit of fat because I don't particularly like that empty feeling in my gut. So I'll have a little butter, just a bite.
Yeah.
Or I'll have put some fat in the air fryer. Don't really overcook it, because if you overcook it, it comes out really, really small because all the fat goes out of it. And I have a couple of bites. When I feel that oh my gosh, I really want to eat something, I'll have a little fat. It does not raise your blood sugar. So it keeps you in a fasted state. In fact, a carnivore diet typically puts you in a fasted state. It's a fasting mimicking diet, they call it, right? But what I found, this is a very interesting thing, Dr. Kiltz, because I was just eat all the meat, get rid of the plants, get rid of the carbohydrates, and just eat what you want to eat. And I wasn't gorging. I wasn't pigging out, because you can't. When you've taken that last bite of meat, you know it, because you go, okay, I'm satisfied. I'm full. The next bite doesn't taste as good. So it's a very easy thing. But what I found is, after about a year, the fatigue started coming back. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but I started watching, shout out to Dr. Annette Bosworth, because she does a lot of N=1 testing on yourself about these things. So I said, I'm going to get myself one of those keto mojos, and I'm going to test my ketones, test my blood sugar, and just see what is going on here, because I did feel different, right? I don't think everyone has to do this. I'm not advocating for it, but if you're not feeling good, I believe that it's our responsibility to test ourselves and see what the heck's going on under the hood, right? It's like checking under the hood, seeing what's going on.
Absolutely.
So I got the keto mojo and I tested myself. I was shocked. After a year of being on the carnivore diet, I was not in ketosis and my blood sugar was in the 90s. And I didn't know why. So she talks about, Dr. Boz talks about how over time your body is at a certain level, like your blood sugar comes down, eating the carnivore diet. She did specifically talk about the carnivore diet. And your body wants this homeostasis. It wants to get back to where it was. And the liver starts creating sugar. I can't remember the name, glucagon. Is it glucagon? Glycogen to raise your blood sugar, to give you blood sugar that you haven't had for a year. And I think that's what happened. I cannot be sure. However, I started incorporating some fasting. I started not worrying about calories, but looking at portion size,
Mm.
just taking it down just a little. I started testing my ketones and my blood sugar every single morning. And what I saw is that the ketones started going up and the blood sugar started coming down. And that as the week goes on, I've been fasting 1 day a week. Tuesdays, I decided to fast. So Tuesdays, I'll fast the whole day. Wednesdays, my blood sugar, my ketones are high, my blood sugar is low. As the week goes on, this happens. As the week goes on, the ketones start coming down, the blood sugar starts going up, and then I fast again on Tuesday. And I get like a reset. So I've been doing this since the beginning of March, and
How
it's working.
how many meals a day do you typically eat?
It depends. Sometimes I eat 2. Most of the time I eat 2. Sometimes I eat 3. Like after I fast on Tuesday, I want to eat breakfast, but sometimes I'll eat breakfast and lunch.
Mm.
And it's not big. I don't eat like I know a lot of people who fast and they'll fast and they'll eat a huge meal because they're so hungry after the fast. I don't do that. I still have my little meal. And sometimes I'll eat 3 times a day. Sometimes I'll eat 2. Um, I want to get into more OMADs. I've done that a couple of times, but I'm trying to shake it up. I don't want to
Mm.
do the same thing every day. I don't want my body getting used to what I'm doing.
Mm.
I want
You
to
want to surprise it.
I want to surprise it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't want anyone saying, well, I know what she's going to do, so I'm going to raise or lower the blood sugar. I'm going to do this. Like, oh, what's happening? She's doing something different.
Well, I guess the question is, what is blood sugar for?
What is blood sugar for? I don't know, Dr. Kiltz. What is it for?
Glycosylation.
Okay.
Sugars are critical in your body. And when you eat meat, it comes with sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The protein has the sugar.
The sugars are an important component of every cell of our body, every membrane.
Mm-hmm.
They're either directly attached to proteins or directly attached to fat. And they're called glycans. And they're critical for the function of your cell membranes and for your proteins.
And the body can make them too itself.
The body
Makes
can,
Yeah.
but when you eat meat, you are eating sugar. That's the part that most people don't realize, is that sugar is an important component of every cell that we have, we make, and we eat. And
So what
fat,
if we eat sugar? What happens?
well, insulin's secreted in the bloodstream. It goes directly to the liver,
Mm-hmm.
and the sugar in the liver is converted to fat. That's normal. That's what's supposed to happen. You eat, but you think about it, sugar was extremely rare in our ancient environment.
Right.
And
They
so
didn't have it.
you just didn't have it. So
Right.
small amounts of sugar are not our killer. It's low fat diet that's our biggest killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just wondering that now you've been doing this crazy diet, carnivore. And by the way, I do 1 meal a day. I do 2 to 3 days of fasting every month, and I do 5 to 7 days of no food quarterly. I've been doing it for 4 years.
Wow, that's
And
fabulous.
I believe that we're built for fasting.
Oh, we are.
And 3 meals a day, even 2. I might do a meal and a snack,
Right.
but it's usually raw, fatty steak. Crazy. So tell me a little bit about your improved emotional and spiritual strength now that you're carnivore.
Yeah, there is definitely. So emotional. First of all, not having this MS thing looming over my head. That anxiety is gone.
Yeah.
That depression is gone. Being able to do more than one thing a day was very depressing, not being able to do more than one thing a day. So now I'm out and about, I'm doing my own thing, meeting people, doing stuff. Huge. But on top of that, I think that the diet itself really has an interplay with the emotion, the mental state that you're in. Um, just feeling like you're on top of the world, feeling like it's really, you know what it is? Okay, so it's not so much happiness as it is joy. It gives you joy in life. It's a state of being. You just feel joyful. So I really believe that the carnivore diet has given me that. Spirituality, it's got me more connected. First of all, having my prayer answered does a lot to bring me into the spiritual reality of that. Secondly, Jesus fasted.
Mm.
Jesus, when he was facing something, when he was facing, you know, um, something really big, or he had to do a lot of healing of people, or whatever the case was, what did he do? He went to the mountain and he sat, fasted, and prayed.
Mm.
He went into ketosis because ketosis puts you in a state where you are more receptive to the spiritual realm.
Clarity.
It's a clarity, it's a connection.
Mm.
And in fasting over the past month or so, I have really felt that. I think that it takes a while if you have been low fat, plant based, to get into a space where you can fast and enjoy it. I'm almost there. I don't know if I would say I enjoy it. I kind of like, okay, it is what it is.
Mm.
But lately, in that one day a week, I find that I can pray more clearly.
Mm.
I feel that I could meditate more clearly. I just feel, um, before when I prayed, I was like, say the prayer real quick, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm done. All right. And like focusing on it was tough. But the focus of getting into that prayer state is not a struggle.
Yeah. Wow.
And I believe the fasting brings you there. And that's why every religious um, sect, all religious peoples have fasting and prayer built into
Right.
their curriculum, to their every single one of them fast. Why do you think they fast? I used to think it was, because being Catholic, fasting on Fridays during Lent was like a sacrifice. I thought, oh gosh, here we go again. This is a sacrifice. No, 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 no. It's not a sacrifice, Dr. Kiltz. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's take away the food noise and you can hear the voice of God so much better.
Which is within all of us.
Exactly.
She is there always.
Yeah.
Do you think that anyone diagnosed with MS and or an autoimmune condition should give the Boston Carnivore concept and challenge a do for at least 30 days?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. I If they would do that, I mean, there's free will. You do it or you don't. That's their choice, right? But if they follow a strict carnivore diet, eating
Mm-hmm.
mostly fatty red meat,
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of the cheese, getting rid of all this extraneous stuff, and just eat when you're hungry. Eat a lot. You don't have to diet. You don't have to eat just a little. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Eat fatty red meat, drink
Yeah.
water, salt.
Right.
30 days. It's not going to kill you. And it just might cure your symptoms. It just might make your symptoms become less. And there's no way, like you could hear me, I could tell you, you know, you can tell them, anybody that you hear on YouTube, you can read 20,000 books, 10,000 studies. You're never going to know if this thing will make you feel better unless you do it. That's the only way you're going to know. So why not give it a try? It's not going to kill you. You're not going to get gout. Your LDL is not going to go through the roof in 30 days. So all those things that people tell you, forget about it.
Right.
Forget about it. Because 30 days is the test. And you know what? If you don't feel better in 30 days, there's going to be some side effects, okay? So I'll give you that. If you're going from standard American diet to eating just meat, you might have to go keto first. And that's not the 30 days. Do keto for a month, then do carnivore for 30 days. That's not carnivore.
You're going to feel withdrawal. You're going to feel like I got to have this stuff, because that's addiction to plants.
Addiction
to plants,
addiction to alcohol, addiction to drugs, addiction to gambling. Addiction is keeping us from doing what we want to do. All around. Addiction is tough. It's difficult.
But I don't think there's anything psychologically wrong with you. I think the problem is we've been fed a lie. And the lie is plants are good and meat is bad.
Yeah.
And the lie is you're incapable, you're weak and meek, and you're addicted. You're not addicted. The environment you have found yourself in is an environment that says, wait a minute, famine is coming. And you may have to immigrate or migrate or gestate. And eating the sugar is critical to get fat. That is normal.
Right.
But the abnormal, it's there all the time.
Right.
When we hunted,
we're meant to have it for a season, for like a short season to fatten up for the winter. But
100%, or gestation or migration.
Or the famine.
Right.
And the famine, the winter never comes. It never comes. We're always in it. We're always in. And you know, these foods that we're eating, that's what's driving the addiction. Because they find that, okay, think about a goat. Think about a cow. Think about these animals that eat plants. Do they have one meal a day?
They eat all day.
Why do you think they eat all day?
Only way they get enough calories in.
It's the only way they'll get enough calories in. So the plant matter, the carbohydrate in the food, in the plants for them, will cause an addictive process in their body to where it will tell them to keep on eating. So they're like a dog with a bone. They're like a cow with grass. They're like, they just keep on going because they are addicted to that substance because they need to be.
And a baby on a breast is the same way.
Yes, because they need it.
Right. But the chemicals in the plants, in the breast milk, and that's why I don't drink milk.
No, me either.
I have a little cheese and a little cream and a little butter, but it is because it's created this way.
Yep.
So I always say that, where did you ever get heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine in our ancient environment? You did not. Your environment you're setting yourself up for in this life needs to be changed, and simply get a trash can, throw it all out, and go get yourself some bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt, and go at it. Is it simple as that?
It is as simple as that. But I also see on some of these message boards some things that happen, and being in the mental health field, I see that for some it is as simple as that, but for others it can be a bit more complicated. And it's because do you hear my dog barking? I hear my dog barking.
I love it. The carnivore is saying, where's the meat?
She is. Can I go get her? Because you're going to be at a
Yeah,
right? Let me go get her
yeah,
because you have to.
yeah. We're going to get the baby, the little dog. That's awesome. Because remember, dogs and cats were once wolves and lions. You feed a wolf and a lion plants to become a domesticated dog and cat. You feed a human being plants to become a domesticated slave, soldier, peasant, and prisoner, no longer knowing that God is within you. And so if you go carnivore, you kick ass, you heal it all. I know. Like going to be 70 in March. Isn't that crazy? Never felt better. Now, don't do it because it's a very, very small group of people that are carnivores in the world. There aren't many lions either. Hi, sweetie.
This is Coco the carnivore.
Coco the carnivore. So, what do you feed Coco?
I feed her fatty ground beef with this powder in it for calcium. It's like a calcium powder that I put in it.
Nice.
And sometimes I take egg shells and crumble them up and put them in her food as well for extra calcium. Because, back in the day when dogs attached to human beings, cavemen time, they got the scraps of the meat, but they also got the bones.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't chew bones because I'm afraid they'll splinter. So that's why I give the bone meal in her food.
Last comments, and I guess the real question is healing humanity. And I know that we're going to be at the Boston meetup coming up very soon. You can go to drkiltz.com and get more information on that. But it's what does it mean to you to heal humanity?
That's a good question, Dr. Kiltz.
You're in the healthcare industry on the emotional, mental side, which is so rampant in the amount of people that are suffering today. But
I know.
Go at it.
I know. To heal humanity, it's just like an awesome thing to be able to tell people my story and to get the reaction from them that I get, that they're like, what?
Yeah.
And to know that this is the next stage of my life, to tell people what I have been through. Because, we talked about the ask, right? So I believe that this is my ask from God.
Right.
That
Love it.
he has healed me. Now he's wanting me to tell people what has happened, because most people don't know. Unless they look for this, they don't know. And I cannot go through the rest of my life and just be silent about this. I've got to let people know that this is a thing. This is what happens when you eat a proper human diet. You become a proper human. And that's what healing is all about. We've got all these disorders, diseases, mental health issues, all these things becoming louder and louder and more frequent and more often. And everybody is sick with something.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do, even if you just gave up the ultra processed food, ate mostly meat and if you want to eat a little plants, try it. But we cannot, as a species, we cannot go on like we're going on. We cannot continue to ramp up the food stuff, the fake food, and expect to be healthy.
Right.
It's just becoming worse and worse. And now with the drug companies, you watch TV at night especially, and you either get a commercial about a foodstuff or a commercial about a drug to cure you after you ate the foodstuff. And we are we are indoctrinating people into the mindset of, you're supposed to eat this stuff and then you're supposed to take a pill.
So
That's the way you have to be.
what we're doing is we're teaching all of our brothers and sisters around the globe that the carnivore lifestyle is the game changer.
Yep.
Faith, fatty meat will give you the best fitness in life.
Love it.
And Diane Ladd, where can people find your amazing energy?
They can find my amazing energy at Boston Carnivore Diane Ladd on YouTube. And thank you, Dr. Kiltz. I so appreciate you. You are completely amazing, and you're doing so much to change humanity and to make us healthier. And I really, really appreciate you.
Well, as our good friend Carrie Mann would say, it's all about the stories,
Yeah.
and the Bibles of the world are the best books that God has ever given us. And scientific journals are interesting, but I'm just wondering if that's really the fantasy and the Bible is the real facts and truth.
I don't know. I don't know. It
Uh,
depends on your story, right? It depends on what you
But
think.
but if you think about it, we've been living the Bibles for infinite years. And if you think about modern science, it's it's a newbie, and
It's modern.
it's driven by money
It is.
and not by making mommies, men, and masters. And that's what we're here to do.
Mhm.
Diane Ladd, Boston Carnivore, it's such a pleasure. I'll see you in
Pleasure
Boston
is
coming up.
mine. Oh, I
Pleasure's
can't
all
wait.
mine.
Thank you.
And a quick one, everyone, thank you for listening. Always go to drkiltz.com or
Mhm.
Kiltz Health. Share your comments. Whenever you're seeing this, we appreciate your comments, your questions. This is critical because we're empowering each other to really become the expert on your health. So, bye all. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
God bless.